Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm bringing you an Exposed original series episode today, and it centers around a 29-year-old North Andover, Massachusetts police officer by the name of Kelsey Fitzsimmons. Now, in June of 2025, Kelsey was shot by a fellow officer of that same department by the name of Patrick Noonan as he was serving her a restraining order filed by her ex-fiancé, who was an area firefighter. Now, Officer Noonan's side of that story was Officer Fitsimmons drew her weapon upon being served this summons. She aimed that weapon at Noonan and pulled the trigger. However, she didn't chamber it, which caused him to defend himself and shoot her in the chest. Now, Fitsimmons says she suffered from postpartum depression and was having a mental health episode and actually was attempting to shoot herself. We're going to break it all down today, as well as what led up to all of this. So let's get into it. And this is going to be a story, y'all, where everything is not as it appears in the beginning. So I'm going to start this one off by telling you a little about Kelsey Fitzsimmons. Now, Kelsey was born and raised in Methuen, Massachusetts. She grew up splitting time with both of her parents. They were divorced, but her upbringing was typical outside of that. And even though her parents were divorced, they both took care of her, and it was kind of a loving thing on both sides. Now, according to some of her friends, Kelsey did have some struggles growing up. She had some what you would classify as mental health issues and alcohol issues, experimenting with alcohol, etc., but nothing that would be noted as serious. And in 2015, she graduates from Methuen High School and attends Fisher College in Massachusetts. And it was at Fisher College that she really worked hard. She was waiting tables as she pursued a degree in criminal justice. And in addition to that, she also had like an internship where she would check IDs in as they would enter and leave dormitories on campus. This was for a security company and kind of gave her her first exposure to law enforcement. Now in 2020, she did graduate with honors from that university and a degree in criminal justice. Very smart girl. Now, initially, Kelsey's plan was to go straight from graduation into the police academy. She had a dream. She wanted to be a law enforcement officer. However, noting the timing here, 2020, early 2020, this is the start of COVID, right? And no academies were taking new applicants. They were all essentially shut down at this point. So she faced all of this, and rather than sit around and wait for the world to open back up, which when was the world going to open back up? Nobody had any idea back then. Kelsey decides to go to law school. So she enrolls in the Massachusetts School of Law, and she attends for 3 semesters. And she's still working hard while she's attending law school. She actually worked as a paralegal for a local law firm, kind of learned more about the law, and she comes to this realization that being a lawyer just isn't going to be for her. And about that time, she realizes that, as luck would have it, the police academies would start taking students again. COVID was it wasn't going away, but it was to the point that you could open things up again. So Kelsey starts out by applying and getting a job as a corrections officer for the Essex County Sheriff's Department. And she was looking to gain some practical law enforcement experience and thought this would make for a good start. And look, I know tons of people that are now way high up on the law enforcement ladder, if you will, and most of them started off as corrections officers. So this is a good place to start. She handled inmate transfers from the prison to the courthouse, and she also worked in the perimeter security section of the prison for over 2 years. And I have kind of a thought on why she only worked that perimeter security section. She is a very pretty girl. I thought when I was originally researching this that, man, as attractive as she is, I couldn't imagine her working a tier inside of a prison. It would not be a good idea at all. Trust me. And so the powers that be that hired her probably thought the same thing. And they were like, look, we're going to let her work the perimeter security section, which is the outside part. You don't want someone that is as attractive as Kelsey Fitzsimmons is working like a freaking tier. That would be not a good idea. So while she was working for the sheriff's office, she moved to North Andover, Massachusetts, and she really falls in love with life inside of North Andover, and she applies for the North Andover Police Department. Now, with a lot of police departments, most of them, I would say, you don't just interview with human resources. You go in front of a panel, kind of like a board, and that panel is typically made up of other police officers within that department. They question you. They ask you all kinds of different questions, everything from what is your favorite color to have you ever been convicted of a crime? What types of crimes have you done that you've not been caught for? I mean, it runs the gamut, and it's part of the process. So Kelsey passes this board with flying colors. She passes the background check they perform, and she is hired on at the North Andover Police Department. And the next step from there is going to the police academy. Now, this academy is about 6 months in length. It's not a short program, and you learn everything from shooting a gun if you don't already know how to do that, or learn how to properly shoot it. And you learn fighting techniques, all sorts of things at these police academies. Kelsey graduates from that police academy in May of 2024. Now, during this time, just prior to entering that academy, Kelsey meets a firefighter, and his name is Justin Allain, who was a North Andover firefighter. This is in September of 2023. Now, that relationship quickly progresses, and by March of 2024, Justin moves into Kelsey's home. They met the way most people meet these days, via the internet, Facebook specifically. They go on a few dates and they seemingly fall in love. On October 10th of 2024, they are so in love, in fact, that they get engaged with plans to marry in October of 2025. Then, in November of 2024, she becomes pregnant with their son. Now, a little about Justin. He is 32 years old at the time of the incident that I'm about to tell you about. He grew up in Lancaster, Massachusetts. He's a college graduate. He had a degree in business management. After college, he decided to do kind of a cross-country trip, wasn't really sure what he wanted to do with his life, and this was a great time to not give a shit, right? So he takes off and he goes across country and he ends up in Utah, where he becomes a counselor at a youth camp. And it was a youth camp designed to help people with addiction. And there were also some adults there as well. Now, telling you all of that, this seems like a very well-rounded guy, right? Seems like a great guy. Got his head on his shoulders, if you will. College graduate, he's going to help people with addiction. Man, picture perfect. After about 8 months, he goes back to Massachusetts and he decides he wants to serve his country, and he enlists in the United States Army. And at this point, it's in 2017, and he thrives in the U.S. Army. He actually tries out for the Green Berets, the special forces in the Army. But he gets hurt pretty bad during training in the Green Berets, and he tears a bunch of ligaments, and that kind of grinded that dream to a halt, if you will. This is in 2019. From there, he gets honorably discharged from the Army, and he returns back to Massachusetts. He works several different jobs, tries a few things out, and eventually he becomes a North Andover firefighter in August of 2021. He also goes back to school and earns a second bachelor's degree, this time in fire science. As I said, he meets Kelsey on Facebook, sparks fly, and on the surface, this is like the perfect love story, right? So picking up again with this October of 2024 pregnancy, everything seemed fine, although Justin would say that Kelsey's behavior during this time would become erratic. Hey, she's pregnant. Things are going to change. Her hormones are going through all kinds of changes. All you ladies out there listening know what I'm talking about. So shortly after becoming pregnant, approximately 20 weeks into her pregnancy, Kelsey responds to a 911 call while she's at work as a police officer. She goes to the home, and upon entering the scene, she discovers a mother and infant dead in an apparent murder-suicide. And this type of scene, y'all, would have a profound effect on even the most seasoned of officers. But a rookie female officer being 20 weeks pregnant, probably the first time she's ever seen anything like that, I would imagine this was absolutely devastating for her to see. According to Kelsey, this created a lot of internal trauma in her life, and it started some pretty early mental health struggles for her personally. So on February 16th of 2025, she does indeed give birth to a son who was 5 weeks early, pretty premature. Long story short, the baby was very healthy after spending a few weeks in the hospital, and Kelsey is described as a devoted mother, rarely apart from her baby. Now, shortly thereafter, like weeks after the birth of her son, she is diagnosed with postpartum depression. She acknowledges the condition and she quickly seeks treatment. She meets with a therapist and she gets placed under psychiatric care. She surrenders her department-issued firearm and at least one personal weapon during this time. This is in mid-March of 2025, and it was serious. It was causing an enormous strain with her fiancé, Justin, at the time, but she seemed to respond to treatment for that postpartum depression very well. And in June of 2025, June 18th, she's medically cleared to return to work and her firearm license was reinstated. So on June 28th and 29th of 2025, Kelsey and Justin, they have what is known as a Jack and Jill party, and they go to Maine to have this party. And y'all, for those not familiar with what that is, it's basically a bachelor/bachelorette party where both wedding parties celebrate the impending marriage together. And let's just say things did not go well by any stretch of the imagination. According to Justin, Kelsey got really drunk at this party, and she allegedly punched Justin in the face with a closed fist 3 times at this party. Justin fled the scene. He gets a hotel room, and after he left, friends would tell him later, and it would come out later, that she would remain combative with the guests that remained at this party. And they had a ton of them, all his friends, all her friends. They were in this big bungalow. She was so combative, in fact, that her friends were concerned she would harm herself. She may harm Justin. She may harm her baby. And long story short, the weekend party ends early and Kelsey goes home without Justin. Now, 2 days later, Justin and his sister Courtney, they go to the police in New Andover. And Justin tells the police he wants to file an emergency restraining order because he feared for his baby's life. Now, in this restraining order, he makes the following allegations. 1, he alleged Kelsey would punch herself in the stomach while pregnant and make comments about killing herself and the baby. 2, he claimed she told him that she had nothing to live for and threatened to take the baby far, far away, which he interpreted as a suicide threat. 3, he mentioned her punching him in the face 3 times at that Jack and Jill party that I told you about. And 4, he said he feared she would kill the baby at any moment. So police, they got to serve this restraining order. And on June 30th of 2026, around 2:30 p.m., they faxed this to a judge to get that judge to sign it and send it back so they can serve it. Now, earlier that morning, and this is a Monday, y'all, Justin and Kelsey, they were exchanging text back and forth. And I'm going to pick up here with Kelsey herself, kind of detailing exactly what occurred this day, picking up with that morning. And this is per her testimony at trial.
We had spoken through text and on the phone in the morning. I was asking if he would come home because he hadn't been home in days to be with Caden while I went to work. And his response basically was, I can pick him up and watch him. And I said, you're not a babysitter. So there was a bit of argument about that.
Text argument.
Yeah, it was like, you're his dad. You're not a babysitter. You can come home. I don't understand picking him up and watching him. That was very odd for me to hear as his father.
Moms don't like when dads say they're going to babysit their own kid, right?
Yes, like you're dad.
And at some point, just to kind of cut to the chase on that, you made a plan to meet up in North Andover?
Yeah, there was a lot of texting back and forth. He originally said yes, and then he said no, and then he said, I'll meet you tomorrow. And I said, you have work tomorrow? That doesn't make any sense. He worked a 24-hour overnight shift. So
Was there something about gas money as well?
yeah, he said that he couldn't drive from Stowe, Massachusetts to North Andover because he had no gas in his truck. And I just was trying to get him to meet me. I'm like, we need to figure this out. I go to work in a couple hours. Like, we need to figure this out. He called me while I was driving to work and said, I'm on my way to North Andover.
Let me stop you right there.
Okay.
Let me just rewind you a little bit. So there's some texting about this, right?
Yes.
And the texting that you have and that's been kind of passed around in the case, it doesn't end up with, okay, I'll come and meet you at the North Andover Common, right?
No.
So was that arrangement made outside of those texts?
Yes, like looking back now, I think it was strategic, but
All right, well, just I don't want to keep. I don't want to.
that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I don't want to ask for your opinion
Okay,
on it.
sorry.
I just want to factually. I'd like to ask you: Were there a couple calls back and forth that kind of
Yes.
set that up once and for all?
Yes, he called me on my way to work.
So as you heard there, prior to him filing that restraining order, she is texting her fiance to make arrangements to watch her son. And a few hours later, he's filing a restraining order in her department. So as you heard her say, at 1 p.m. that day, Kelsey has a mandated CPR class that she attends. At 2 o'clock that day, Justin agrees to meet Kelsey, according to her, to, quote, talk at a local park. Well, she arrives. Justin never shows because he is at the moment filing this restraining order. So she waits a good while, and at some point, call it a sixth sense or whatever, but something told her to drive by a mutual friend's house, which is what she does. And when she drives by this mutual friend's house, she sees Justin's truck as well as other people that she knew, including her own friends, in the driveway of that home. And she finds this very strange, and it's kind of confusing to her. She's not really sure what's going on, but she knows something is up. So she goes home, but she doesn't park in her own driveway. She actually parks about 150 yards from her house at a nearby school in the parking lot. And then she calls her mother, and she kind of vents about the fact that Justin did not show up to meet her and talk things over regarding their relationship, and maybe just get her mom's advice and vent. Then around 3:30, she calls her mom again, and this time she is in a full-blown panic. She knows something's up, but she doesn't know what. but she's about to lose her fiance here, and she can sense that. And she calls her mom up again and tells her, hey, can you come over and just sit with me? And her daughter's upset. Of course, her mom's going to go over there. That's just what she does, maybe within 10 minutes of her calling her mother. So she vents again to her mother in person, and about an hour later at 4:30 p.m., that restraining order comes back through the fax machine, right, to the police department, and it grants that restraining order in Justin's favor, meaning it grants him temporary custody of their son. And it also requires Kelsey to stay 150 yards away from him, and also orders her to surrender all of her firearms again. So the police get this, and they really have no choice but to serve this restraining order. Now, at about 5:20, her mother calms down her daughter enough to where she's comfortable to leave. Of course, nobody, her mother or Kelsey, have any idea about this restraining order, but mom does leave the house at this point, so it's just Kelsey and her baby inside of the house. About 5:30 p.m., a dispatcher calls Justin and lets him know, hey, they've granted this restraining order and someone is going to be reaching out to you at some point soon to make arrangements to meet to pick up the baby and transfer it from Kelsey to Justin. So about 6:00 p.m., Lieutenant Sean Daly and Officer Patrick Noonan, as well as another officer by the name of Timothy Houston, they arrive at Kelsey's home to serve this restraining order, remove firearms, and facilitate this custody transfer. They knock on the door, and Kelsey, who at the time was feeding her son on the couch, she answers the door with her son in her hand. And you got 3 officers standing there, and they basically tell her, we've got to take your son and give him to your fiance, and that you've got this restraining order, and we also have to pick up any firearms. Now, this girl obviously is already in a super fragile state. Her whole wedding plans are shot. She's separated from her fiance. She's got this young baby, and she's trying to work all that out in her mind. And in the midst of all of this, she's coming to a pretty hard realization that this restraining order definitely means that it's likely it's not going to be worked out between her and Justin. And to make matters even worse, they are now taking her baby away from her. So I'm going to give you 2 perspectives here. The first I'm going to give you is Officer Patrick Noonan's perspective. And I want you to listen to this closely as he walks you through what occurred according to him, according to Officer Noonan. Here's that clip.
Lieutenant Daly knocked on the door or rang the doorbell, and she came out.
Okay. Was she with anybody?
Her baby.
Well, where did you go?
We went into the family room. She went straight to a couch that's off to the left, and I kind of went straight. There was another couch, and I believe Houston was to the left of me.
Did you see and hear Lieutenant Daly interacting with the defendant?
Yes.
Can you tell us what you saw?
He explained the situation that Justin had taken the restraining order out, that we were going to have to remove firearms from the house, and that the baby, their son, he was going to be in Justin's custody for, I think it was 14 days until the next court hearing.
When Lieutenant Daly mentioned that the guns were going to be removed, did the defendant say anything about that?
Yeah, she said that they were located downstairs in the basement.
What happened after that?
I noticed her duty belt, the couch, so I went and checked that. There was no firearm in there, and I observed a gun case on a mantle. I opened that up, and there was no gun.
There was no gun. Did she say anything in response to that?
Yeah, she reiterated the guns were downstairs in the basement.
What happened next?
She went to gather some belongings for their son, and she came up and handed me the baby. He was screaming. I was trying to calm him down. I believe she gave me his bottle, and I was trying to feed him. but I'm thinking it can't be too comfortable. I wear an Elbert carrier vest and I have all my equipment in the front. So it was kind of hard to cradle.
Did you eventually hand the baby off to someone else?
I did. I believe Lieutenant Daly.
Now, do you typically wear gloves when you're on duty?
I do.
Were you wearing gloves that day?
Yes, briefly for maybe like 10 minutes.
Okay. Did you take them off once you were in the house?
I did.
Now, did Miss Fitsimmons leave the room at all?
While I was with the baby, yes. Lieutenant Daly and Officer Houston escorted her around. I think it may have been a kitchen area. I never went back there. So I just basically stayed in the family room with their son.
Okay. On a typical restraining order service, would you let a person who is the subject of the restraining order walk around the house unattended?
No.
Okay. At some point, did they come back?
Yes.
Okay. What happened after that?
I handed the baby off. I was standing in front of her stairs, and she had stated that she had clothes upstairs for the baby. So I handed the baby off.
And so did someone go upstairs?
Myself and Officer Houston.
Okay. Where did you go?
Right at the top of the stairs, it's a very small hallway. Right to the left is the baby's room. Right to the right is the main bedroom.
Okay. And so where did she go first?
To the left, to the baby's room.
And what did you observe?
I observed a crib. The back wall had bookshelves of sort, and there were just clothes on the ground.
Did you enter the room or did you stay on the outside?
I entered the room there.
Okay. What did you see the defendant doing, if anything?
She was wrapping up baby clothes and she put them in a car seat. And then while she was doing that, I heard an older lady come in and start to yell at Lieutenant Daly.
Okay. Did that create any reaction from the defendant at all?
No, I asked her who that was downstairs, and she looked up and said she had no idea.
What happened next?
She handed me the baby seat and asked me to take it downstairs. And I told her no.
Okay. What did you do with it?
I put it on the ground. I said, we'll deal with that later.
What happened next?
She started packing a lot of books, and it's almost like this round basket with two handles. And I explained to her that her son's 4 months old. No need for all the books. You know, you're going to see him in 2 weeks. So
what did she do with the books?
She handed me the basket and asked me to go downstairs, bring it downstairs.
And what did you do?
I told her we would deal with it later, and I put it down on the ground.
Okay. And you told her she'd see her son in 2 weeks?
Yeah, roughly. I said your next court date is on the 14th.
What happened after you had that conversation with her and put the book carrier down?
At that point, Officer Houston had gone downstairs because of the commotion. So she said that she had to get more clothes out of her room. So I followed her into the room, but I never went in the room. I stayed on, I guess, the top landing, right before the door frame.
Okay. And did that seem to be a bedroom?
Yes.
Okay. So if you walk up the stairs, you had been in the room on the left, correct?
Yes.
Now she went across to the room on the right?
Yes.
Okay. You said you didn't go into the room yourself.
No.
Were you able to see her?
Yeah, she was 3 feet in front of me.
Okay. And what was she doing?
She was wrapping up clothes, and she had paused, and she said something to the effect that these are dirty. And I said, listen, wherever the baby's going, I'm sure there's a washer and dryer. I said, wherever the baby's going, most likely has a washer and dryer. So don't be concerned. And then I could tell she was getting upset. She started to shake. And I said, listen, court date is in 2 weeks. It'll be over before you know it.
Did something happen next?
Yeah, she was on one knee when she was wrapping up the clothes, and she pushed off with her left foot and lunged behind the door frame. So to my left, to her right.
Okay. Could you see what was there from where you were?
Not from my perspective, no.
What happened after she went behind the door frame?
She reappeared with a gun and pointed it right at me and pulled the trigger.
Can you describe or show us how she did that?
Yep. So when she came around the frame here, she came up and click.
Okay. Where was it pointed?
My face.
After it clicked, what happened?
I screamed her name. I was completely shocked. She had the drop on me. I drew my weapon. She was already backpedaling, and she was doing what we call a tap rack. Basically, when you do a tap rack, that's when your gun malfunctions. So when you tap the magazine, you want to make sure it's properly seated in the magazine well, and then you rack the upper receiver or the slide.
Did she do that once or more than once?
She did it twice. So the first time she did it, it was slow motion. I could see her hand slide off the top of the receiver. She started moving her way around the bed, and she began tap racking again. And I was yelling at her, "Don't do it! Don't do it!"
And then what happened?
After she successfully got around in the chamber, her right arm started to come up, and I shot twice in rapid succession.
At her?
Yes.
What did you observe after you fired the second shot?
I saw her flinch. The gun went down, so I stopped shooting. She stopped her action, and then she went to the ground.
Where was she at this point?
On the opposite side of the bed, in between the wall and the bed.
What did you do next?
I covered down on her.
And what does that mean?
I kept my gun on her or in the area of where she was because I couldn't really see all of her at that point.
What part of her could you see?
I think her legs, maybe. I don't really remember.
Okay. Did someone else appear at that time?
Lieutenant Daly.
Okay. And what did you see him do, if anything?
He came up, said, "Where's the gun?" I said, "She still has it. I'll cover you."
And so what happened?
We walked around the bed. I stayed lethal force on her. He rolled her and saw the gun.
Okay. Did you see the gun?
I did too. Yep.
What happened with the gun?
He put it on the bed, and she was still conscious, alert, moving. I grabbed the gun. I moved it to the other side of the room.
What did you do next?
We immediately started first aid.
Right. How so?
Putting pressure on the wound. We wanted to see if there was an exit wound, which there was. So we were trying to stop the bleeding.
So to sum that one up, as you just heard, according to Officer Noonan, Kelsey pulls a gun on him, pulls the trigger, the gun misfires. She attempts to chamber it again by performing what's known as a tap and rack, which typically will clear a jam. And he said he fired off 2 shots, striking her, another officer, mind you, in the chest. Now that's his story. Next, I'm going to play you the clip of Kelsey's recollection of the chain of events. But I'm going to pick up right when she goes upstairs, because although she contends that she did pull a firearm, what she intended to do with it differs completely from what Officer Noonan's story was. Listen to this.
And then I went upstairs.
All right, before you got upstairs, part of the order was that you had to give up your firearms, right?
Yes.
Did you say anything to the officers about the location of your firearms?
Yes, I did.
What did you say?
I told them that they were in the basement.
Was that true?
No,
Why did you tell them that?
because I didn't want them to take them away.
Why not?
Because I wanted to be alone with my firearm and take my life.
When did you make that decision?
I made that decision as I've realized I had just lost everything in a 15-second conversation.
What was your state of mind about whether or not you wanted to involve any police officers in that?
I didn't want to involve anybody. I was trying to get everybody away from me.
Why didn't you want to involve any police officers in that? These police officers in particular.
Because I wanted to be alone so I could kill myself. I decided that I was going to take my own life. Yeah, I was trying to hand them things so they would go away.
Where did that happen?
That happened upstairs. So I was first in the room. You walk up, there's a landing. The room on the left is Caden's room. I went in there first and I put books in a car seat because Justin's truck didn't have the car seat. And I handed it, I don't even know who I handed it to one of them. And I said, "Can you bring this downstairs?"
What was what happened after you said that?
Somebody brought it downstairs and then they came back up. I knew if I pulled out my firearm in front of a police officer, I would get shot. That was not my intention, and that's not what I did. I was trying to get them away from me, so that didn't happen. So they weren't put in that position because I'm not dumb. I was a police officer. If someone takes out a gun in front of you, yes, that's a threat. Yes, that's somebody that you probably feel threatened from.
But if you want to kill yourself, why not just let it happen that way?
That's selfish. I would never do that.
So upstairs it was Officer Noonan and yourself.
Yes.
At some point, did you go across that landing to the other room?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
I was on the floor packing more clothes in the duffel bag.
In which room?
My bedroom.
Okay,
When you walk up
Okay.
the stairs to the right.
Okay, so you finish up in the other room and you go to your...
Yes.
All right. Tell us the circumstances of where do you go, where does Noonan go when you go into your bedroom?
So nobody came into my bedroom with me.
How did that affect your state of mind at that very instant?
I knew that was my moment.
To do what?
Kill myself.
What did you do?
So that shoebox was not on top of the green safe.
At the time you were doing this?
At the time, yeah. There was nothing on top of the safe.
All right. And you're referring, for the record, there's a orange lined box in the picture?
Yeah, it looks like...
Is that what you're talking about?
It looks like a shoebox, yeah. Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Prisoner. Going up and downstairs. Did you hear any particular number of
No,
steps?
I'm certain I heard him and saw him walk down several steps.
Okay.
I grabbed the gun out of the chest. I put it up to my chest here.
So, what was going on with you putting it up to your chest? What was that all about? What do you mean when you said you put it up to?
Like I just...
You made a motion to your stomach area, right?
Yeah, like I just grabbed it quickly. I bent over, grabbed it, put it here, took 2 steps backwards, and I don't want to make the motion of what I did because it's horrible. But I put the gun up to my head.
Which hand? Did
My right hand,
and where on your head did you put it? You can just describe it.
my temple.
Was Noonan in the door frame by now?
Not yet. He had just walked in, like when I pulled the trigger on myself, with the gun pointing towards my head.
What happened when you pulled the trigger?
He said, "Kelsey, no. Kelsey, no." I pulled the trigger. I'm sorry, but I said, "Fuck."
What happened next?
I got shot.
How long after you said that did you get shot?
I don't even think I got to the K and the word before I was shot.
What'd that feel like?
What part?
Getting shot in the chest.
Hurt?
Was Noonan present during the time you raised the firearm to your head?
Like when I motioned up to my head with it?
Correct.
No, he was not in the room. Nobody was in the room.
When Noonan came into your view, where was the gun pointed?
The gun was pointed at my temple.
At any point, did you move the muzzle of that gun
No.
towards Noonan?
No, never.
Did you move it anywhere?
No. Never.
Did you ever intend to harm Noonan?
Never.
What did you know about Noonan's kind of personal circumstances in your time getting to know him?
He was like, so he was a cop for a long time, and I was considered like a rookie. And like after I had like a few really bad calls in a row, and everybody kind of knew it, and the senior guys would like check in on me and give me advice, and he was one of those people, and he told me his own personal experience with like calls and how to handle them when they're bad.
So, what was his family situation?
I've met his wife. I knew he had a son just by like talking.
Did you want to involve him in your tragedy?
I didn't want to involve anybody. I wanted to take my own life. I never pointed the gun at a fellow police officer. It never happened.
So that right there is what you call two completely conflicting stories. Now, in the immediate aftermath of her getting shot, EMS, of course, gets dispatched, and this is around 6:22 p.m. EMS arrives, and they start what's known as advanced life support. Fitsimmons then gets airlifted to the hospital, and she has a collapsed lung, and it ain't looking good at all. Now, a couple of things before we go any further. First, the police show up, 3 of them. They serve that restraining order. They take away this mother's child, who they've already been told by the fiancé that she was suicidal, right? He mentions that in his complaint, in his restraining order. Now, what's strange is they didn't come with a crisis prevention specialist or a social service worker, anything like that. And they actually had 3 trained officers on that force that specialized in this sort of thing. But none of them were sent to accompany these officers. And that's a little bit sketch to me. That's a major failure right there. Now, another thing I've not mentioned as of yet is that 3 people were at the house during this time that the police showed up. Her mother showed up in the middle of this whole situation prior to her daughter being shot, and Justin and Justin's sister were there to pick up the baby. Now, this was unbeknownst to Kelsey, who was upstairs with Officer Noonan. But you can imagine the absolute horror that her mother must have felt being in that house when her daughter was shot by her own coworker and fellow officer. Now, fortunately, when the shooting happened, the baby was already out of the house with Justin's sister, and Justin's sister was sitting in the car. Justin was inside the house because he was collecting some personal belongings of his while all this was going on. Now, Kelsey did have several surveillance cameras, both outside her home and inside the kitchen of her home. So I'm going to post some footage of the officers and the EMTs and Justin and Kelsey's mom to the Patreon during all of this, because I think it adds a lot of context to this story. So I'm going to post some of the video footage for you on the Patreon. Now, let me say this. I have been covering crime cases for a long time. And one thing that I'm sure of is that the truth never changes. The truth is just that, y'all, the truth. So these are 2 completely conflicting statements, which means someone is lying. There's just no 2 ways about it. Now, one of the things that is completely conflicting in Officer Noonan's story is that he made a statement that Kelsey lunged behind a door. Well, that's kind of a problem, because in her bedroom, she didn't have a door. See, Kelsey's father removed it when he renovated that home. There was no door to lunge behind. So as I mentioned, and you also heard Kelsey mention today, there were texts back and forth from Justin and Kelsey throughout that day of the shooting. And I'm going to review these now so you can get some context into how fragile she was by the time that police showed up, because it's very important. So it starts out from Kelsey to Justin. Kelsey says, "You just woke me up to let me know I have to bring Redacted to work with me. Justin says, you were not listening then. I will happily pick up redacted and watch him at work. I said I just didn't want to be in the house at this time. You have to respect that. You are choosing to not have me watch him and bring him to work. Kelsey says, you're not a babysitter. You're his dad. This is our home where the three of us live. Justin says, and by being his dad, I will watch him and pick him up if you wish. Kelsey says, you're not a babysitter, Justin. You don't watch him. You can simply just come home and be with him. You know, the home where our family lives. Justin says, right now, Kels, those are not the options. I will and can pick him up to be with him while you're at work, but you're choosing to bring him to work. You have to respect that I need space and will not be entering the house alone. Kelsey says, your space is abandoning your family. I don't understand why you can't come in our house and you won't explain it. I will not be single parenting for days and days on end. Justin says, when you strike me in the face several times and physically assault your best friends, Kels, you set the tone. I am reacting in the best way possible to find a way forward, and this is what I need. It's not about what you want anymore. We need to be the best parents possible, and I cannot do that in the house at this time. Kelsey responds, just not even true, but okay, abandon your son. I forgot everything that comes out of Katrina's mouth is the truth, right? And Katrina must be one of their friends. Good luck to you. Justin says, and Cassie and Cassandra and Michelle, all lying. Kelsey responds, you're missing valuable days with your son. You will never get back, but you're choosing. You're making me a single mother by your own choosing. I'm rescheduling redacted surgery right now. I will not be doing this alone. Then she writes, answer the phone. Sad that you let your feelings toward me affect your son. Poor kid. She continues to respond, the purest innocent soul gets affected because you won't help me. Would you like to tour his daycare with me? Justin responds, no, my mom has offered free daycare. We do not have $500 a week for daycare. Kelsey, he's going to daycare. Don't worry about it. The money's taken care of. Justin, who's paying for it? Kelsey, it doesn't matter. Do you want to tour it with me or not? Justin, well, it does matter. Kelsey, it doesn't. If you want to come, great. If you don't, great. Justin, you want to place a 4-month-old into daycare? Kelsey, I am, yes. Do you want me to pack your stuff and move it out? I'm going to have to sell my house and find an apartment. Justin, I just need my debit card and license you took right now. That's it. Kelsey, don't have it. Why would I have that? I'll leave all your stuff outside. I have to put my house on the market. Justin, please do not touch my belongings. Kelsey, I can't risk being in a situation I can't afford because you have told people you are leaving, but you haven't told me. And look, this is just a fight right now, right? This is just an argument, but sounds like an old married couple here. Justin responds, who on earth would I have told that to? You keep making things up. Kelsey, not me, that's for sure. Oh, I made that up. If you're leaving me, you need to tell me so I can figure out my life. Not tell others, tell me. And Justin responds, I need space and time right now. I don't have a plan. I just know I need space and time. Kelsey responds, okay, that tells me nothing. After your space and time, you are leaving because I need you to come up with a plan. You're not going to leave me in the dark on my own life. Okay, Justin, that's fine. Just don't answer me and I'll put your stuff outside in boxes and, of course, get an attorney and sell the house. I'm not going to be set up. This is my life. Then she texts more. Am I paying our venue the $6,000 or should I hold off? And I'm assuming she's talking about a wedding venue. And Justin says only $1,500 was left to pay and I sent you that already. Kelsey says, I have $6,000 waiting to send him. It's due by July 4th. If I send it, we cannot get a refund. We can't get a refund on anything. Would you like me to send it or hold off? And what's she doing here, y'all? She's trying to see if this guy's serious or not about canceling this wedding. Justin responds, I think we are under contract to pay it regardless. Kelsey, so what am I doing? Justin, can you send me the contract? Kelsey, no, I don't have it. Regardless, if I talk to Gene, I'm sure he will let me keep the money. Do you want me to send it or not? It's a really simple question. Justin says, not yet. I don't know. Kelsey sends back a laughing emoji and she says, tells me everything I need to know. Thank you. I'll send it to my parents now for their troubles and call Gene today. Justin responds, Kelsey, that's not what I'm saying. I don't have any answers today. Kelsey, just hold on. It's not due until the 4th. Kelsey responds, I'll meet you at the Common at 2 p.m. Justin, for what? Kelsey, what do you mean for what? On the phone, you said we could meet in public and go for a walk. I'll see you at the Common at 2 o'clock. Justin responds, Kels, I have no debit card, no license, my gas tank is empty, and I could get no money this morning. Can we meet tomorrow instead unless Lisa comes home and I can get some money for gas? Kelsey, you don't have enough gas to get here? I haven't gone through any of my bags yet besides my purse, and a lot of my shit was stolen as well. I will look in other bags. I didn't even bother touching it because it's got some substance that was poured all over it and smells really bad. I will look once I get the courage to go down to the basement. Justin, the less than 50-mile light was on before I grabbed my truck last night. There could be 5 miles or 20 miles. I don't know, but I have nothing and no way to get there. And Dougie, must be a friend, is at work and Lisa is out with the doctor's stuff all day, she said this morning. Kelsey responds, okay, I'll give you the money in the drawer. I'm going to work now. I'll see you at the Common at 2 o'clock with our son. Justin, I don't have gas to get there, Kels. You took my debit card and my ID, and God knows what you did with it. Kelsey, Justin, I was chaotically packing bags. If I took it, I didn't mean to take anything. Justin, but you still did. Kelsey, my bags has stuff stolen out of it, and my other bag had something poured all over it, causing every piece of my clothing to get soaked. I will look through that one right now. Then I'm going to work. Justin, why did you tell me to come over at 10 for this kiddo if you were going to be at work now? Kelsey, because I wanted to sleep. I didn't sleep last night. Why does it matter? I decided to change it to 12:30. In the very bottom of my soaked bag is your toiletries, boxers, and cards. Sorry, I got my bag at 10 p.m. last night and just bawled because my clothes are ruined, my stuff is stolen. I didn't even go all the way through it. I don't know what you're talking about, quote, can I see you tomorrow instead, unquote. You literally work tomorrow. I will see you at 2. Justin responds, shoot, I forgot I work. I have no way of getting into town. Kelsey, yes you do. Hello, Justin. Am I seeing you at 2 or not? What the fuck? Justin, Kelsey, I have no gas. I physically cannot go anywhere. I'm looking for change around the house right now, and there is none. Now, we know he's lying at this point, y'all, or he may not be lying. He probably doesn't have gas, but he sure got to the police station either via his sister or he drove, but they were together. Kelsey continues on, and y'all, she goes on a text exchange here for like 20 texts. I'm going to read this. How did you not have enough gas to be home right now then? I can't go into work. When I'm done, I'm done. Answer the phone. So you're out and that's why you won't come see me. I'm done. I'm driving up to the land. I'm going to my land. Then she says, where are you? Then she says, Justin. Then she says, Justin, what am I going to do? I'm worried. I'm really worried. Justin, are you okay? Then she texts, why are you at Hunter's with your sister? What is going on? I thought I was meeting you at the Common. What is going on? What is going on? I'm literally shaking. Why are you with girls at Hunter's house? She's in a full panic right now, right? And these are all individual texts. Then she says, why we're supposed to go for a walk with our son? What the fuck is happening? I'm throwing up. Then she says, why are you with Katrina? What's going on? Why are you doing this to me? All these are individual texts. I just need you to communicate with me. This is not fair. You made a plan with me. Making plans with me and your son and ghosting me is just so mean. I'm going far, far away for a long, long time. There's that word again. She continues to write, you could have at least told me you changed your mind instead of standing me up and making me wait in the Common for 2 hours. Just really mean. Now, at the time she's texting all this, he's already filed that restraining order. It continues on. Also crazy for you to just read all my texts, know how upset this made me. You don't love or care about me. This is so mean. Why wouldn't you tell me you just changed your mind instead of staying me up? If you drove there with Courtney, you clearly had no intention on going for a walk with me and your son. Why would you make plans with us? I packed his diaper bag and stroller and blanket for us to sit on just to be stood up. Why be mean about it? Why not just say, sorry, not happening anymore, change my mind? Still more individual texts. Like you called saying you were on your way to North Andover, your mom gave you money and you would see me at 2. What happened since the phone call? If you're trying to hurt me, you're succeeding. I feel really fucking hurt. I just want to know why you made plans with me and, redacted, and stood us up. Why couldn't you have said, never mind, not have me wait in the common for you? And the common is a park, y'all. She continues on, ignoring the mother of your child and fiance. I don't get it. I really do not. You made it very clear I'm not your family. I will pack your belongings and put them outside for you to retrieve. I'll let you know when it's all outside. Need to get some people to help me move it all. You didn't have to lie to me and say you were meeting me. You didn't have to lead me on thinking we were going for a walk. I don't know what that did for you. Then she says, why didn't you just tell me? Why did you just have me sitting in the park all alone with our son waiting? You knew the only way from the station to the park is to drive by Hunters. If you did this to hurt me, it worked. I told Redacted we were going to see Daddy. You're not just hurting me. And he's not responding to any of these texts. Goes on. You set up this huge plan to make me think my son and I were going to meet you for a walk, and then you ghosted me. I hope you know that hurts a lot more, and you hurt more than just me. You ditched seeing your son. Like, why? Why couldn't you have just said to me you never had intentions on seeing us? I sat and waited at the park until his bottle ran out and had nothing more to give him. Why couldn't you have just called me and said you changed your mind? Why do it like this? And you're not even going to say your phone is in the truck because when you click on your messages, it shows you read it. Then she continues on. You're mean. You wanted a reaction from me. You won't get one. I'm on my way up to my land right now for the night. I love you. I'm sorry I'm so shitty a person that you couldn't even see your son smile today. We're going on to our happy place. I'll send pictures when I get service. And that was the last communication via text they made back and forth together. And I mean, the last 30 of them were just her. He was totally ignoring her. Why? Because he already filed a restraining order against her, and he knew that. So this girl, it's apparent, she's teetering right now. She's about to go way off the deep end. And then the situation happened where they served that restraining order, and Kelsey, fighting for her life, she's airlifted to the hospital. She's in critical condition. She has 5 surgeries, y'all, throughout this ordeal. And state police, they start investigating this case. Officer involved shooting, right? And even more shocking, a rare blue on blue shooting with 2 completely different stories coming. And from the start, as any of us would do, we give law enforcement the benefit of the doubt. Everybody's going to assume Officer Noonan's facts are the facts of the case. They're the facts of what happened. And judging by those texts, you can see someone possibly going off the deep end, right? Now, while Kelsey is in the hospital, it gets even more wild. On July 3rd, Justin calls police to request police meet him at Kelsey's house to get more of his belongings. Remember, he was living there. All his shit is over there. I want you to listen to this.
Justin?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm told that the plan is if anybody does show up to give us a call, we'll be there immediately. We're very limited today on staff, but if there's any issue at all, we'll be there momentarily.
All right. I'm going to have it noted that if something does happen, I requested 2 times for a police officer to be there from the beginning. I want that noted because I will escalate this further because this is not right given the situation that occurred in that house and the potential for something else to happen. My family should have never been in that position in the first place. Now I'm requesting something that is shit that should be placed there, and you're telling me no several times. That right there is not right.
Justin, it's Katie. We spoke yesterday.
We did speak yesterday. We did speak yesterday. But given the intense nature of this situation and what could occur, I'm going to be there for 2 to 3 hours. I know what her father is capable of. I know what could happen.
But you,
Social media are there. I'm just telling you.
I understand the stressful situation, but what we spoke to yesterday was that we weren't going to prevent you from going in the house, but if something happened, you could call us right away and we'd be there just to. That was what we spoke.
Okay. No, we did speak about that, and after thinking about it again, I wanted to make my concerns noted 2 times. So if something does happen, if something does occur, this will be noted, and I have no problem escalating it further. I appreciate your time. Thank you, and have a good day.
What time are you heading over there?
I will be there at 9:30 with 5 or 6 other men. It's going to take a couple hours. And
all right. Well, that's there was no formal request at a certain time, Justin. I understand.
I understand that. I went through Crystal as well. I asked Crystal. Crystal said she would ask as well. That I never coming back to me. It's a formal request. I called yesterday. You gave me this information. I'm calling again this morning, and I'm telling you that. You guys do last minute details every single day. This is a last minute detail. Yesterday would have been a detail that was not last minute.
Would you like a detail?
I am not paying for a detail.
Okay, all right.
My family should have never been in that situation. My child and myself should have never happened. I will absolutely escalate whatever I have to do. If I'm saying that I don't feel comfortable and I don't want to put my brother again, my friend into a situation where something could occur, if you knew what happened, I don't know what her family would be capable of at this point. They've already filed negligence against me as the father when there has been nothing. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what they would be capable of. But if you want to wait and find out, that is on you. And I am glad this is a recorded line.
So you can already see this guy's got kind of an arrogant attitude. But he and his friends, they go over there, and one of the guys that is with him, get this, one of the same firefighters that showed up on the scene that performed life-saving measures on Kelsey when she was shot. This is one of the same guys over there helping him pack his shit. And incidentally, they literally broke into the home. They broke a window to get in. But I mean, this guy showing up, that's using some pretty bad judgment, considering you were just there for an officer-involved shooting. He showed back up to help this guy pack his shit. Regardless, while they were there, he allegedly not only took his valuables, but also some of Kelsey's stuff, like a laptop and some other things. And they destroyed surveillance systems also while they were there, which Kelsey's dad owned a security company, and this dude was very worried about Kelsey's dad. Scared shitless, it sounded like to me. He was very worried of Kelsey's dad coming after him. As a matter of fact, while he was still there, about 2 hours in, he calls police. I want you to hear this.
Yeah, so you said that you were over on Phyllis Brooks gathering some belongings?
Yep. Grabbed my belongings. The alarm did go off. They had changed the locks. The alarm did go off. Her dad has he set the full system up. He has everything. He's going to know the alarms went off, and I have no doubt in my mind he's going to be driving down from New Hampshire to show up here.
Okay. Whereabouts from New Hampshire would he be coming from?
He's up in the not the Rochester. I forget exactly what town he's in. He's probably about 40 minutes away, 30 minutes away. I don't know if he's coming, but I have no doubt in my mind that man is going to come down with a vengeance.
Okay. I mean, do you think that
I called 2 times. My family should have never been in this position. I called 2 times, once yesterday, once today, and I'm asking for a detail down here for 2 hours. If that's something that you guys cannot do, I will gladly escalate the situation. This is ridiculous.
What do you mean by escalate the situation?
I will go to the media. I will do whatever I have to do to ensure my family's safety, my brother's safety here, and 2 firefighters that are here. If his family comes down, they are absolutely going to be doing something.
Okay.
And if you're saying there's no resources for this, it's insane.
If you need a detail, I can put a detail out.
I will not be paying for a detail given the circumstances of this. You can bring this to the chief. Please bring it to someone, because I am not paying a cent for this. This is ridiculous. Given the circumstances and the escalation of this situation, providing a detail and having it be your guys' idea is unbelievable.
We can provide a detail, but you're going to be charged for it.
I will not be charged for that. You know what? I am glad this is the third time this is happening, because when something does happen at this location, it is going to be all on that department. Once again, this is unbelievable.
Justin, when he gets there, just call us and we'll send an officer over there to keep the peace.
That's not how it's going to go down, but thank you for your time.
Okay, so no one showed up on that day, but Justin was not done. I'm going to have to cut this one off for today. And on the next episode, I'm going to wrap this up. And if you think it's crazy so far, you ain't heard nothing yet. So look forward to that next episode. Check out the Patreon, patreon.com/exposed podcast files. I'm going to be uploading all kinds of stuff on this 2-part series titled Blue on Blue. Please check it out. You get commercial-free early releases, bonus episodes. You get quarterly gifts. We have a lot of fun on there, and it is very, very cheap at just $2.50 a week for the opening tier. And for that, you get commercial-free early releases. That's worth it right there for the cost of a cup of coffee, right? I can't tell you how much I need and appreciate those Patreon supporters. I refer to these people as my celebrity members, and I love them like no other. So check it out, patreon.com/exposed podcast files. And until next time, for Exposed Scandalous Files of the Elite, I'm your host, Jim Chapman. Much love.